It goes from 2 to 4, but when it goes to 4, it isn't just any 4, any old way. It isn't just 4 cells kind of floating around in a fluid. This is an actual photograph. Forget this one because it's beginning to go to the next level. But there's one here, one here, one here, and back here you can see the fourth one, same size. And if you drew a line between there and there and there, and then over to this one in the back, you get a tetrahedron. And it looks like this. The 4 cells are like that, and they're aligned down the north and south axis. There is a north pole and a south pole to the mitosis, division of the ovum. And it forms this pattern right here. But then when it goes from 4 to 8, it forms another star tetrahedron facing this way. Like this. There's one linked in coming down here and one linked in going up there. And it's a star tetrahedron inscribed in a sphere. One of the most important images that you can ever imagine. And yet we're only beginning to touch on what this really means. I mean, it's not just all life that we know. It's even more than that, as you'll see in a little bit. And so, and then to describe the rest of it very quickly, it moves from there. This is also a cube. You'd never know it by looking at that. But if you were to connect the centers of all those together, the star tetrahedron forms a perfect cube also. So the star tetrahedron fits inside another platonic solid called a cube, and it's connected to it. It's the diagonal lines across the cube that form the relationships of this pattern. And just to give you an idea of how intelligent God is, how amazing the Creator is. This here, go back to this other one. Even though this is the star tetrahedron, you're now looking at it from the top, looking down. There is this place where it becomes a cube, and if you were to look at just these 4 here, there's these other 4 behind it. So if you were looking from over here at this face, you'd only see these 4, and you wouldn't see the 4 behind it because they would be slightly smaller. And you would get this image here. You'd see these 4 spheres right here, and you couldn't see the 4 behind it because they're slightly smaller. And it fits inside of, like we already showed, a perfect cube right here. And that's a cube if it was going back through there like that. And this circle here will exactly enclose those 8 cells. And this other one outside of it is the thickness of the membrane, which is called the zona pellucida of the mitosis at 8 cell division. That is actually determined by the flower of life, where those 2 lines that are on the outside has actually determined the thickness of the membrane. Even the thickness of the membrane is not an accident. It's not just a random thing. It's all based on sacred geometry. And here you can see the star tetrahedron also inscribed in the sphere at the same time. And we'll explain that in just a moment. And so here Leonardo is actually showing how this relationship of the corners, the width of the circles, and all the relationship of this male form that's in here. But if you think about this for a moment, it's because here is the 8 cell division, and it is in the exact proportions of the real thing. But it also, so that's at one time you were in that shape of 8 cells with this cube around it and the sphere that contained it. And even at the moment of 8 cells, it contains the exact proportions of the adult human body. It's amazing, really. So, we just touched upon how sacred geometry works on microscopic levels. What about the macrocosm instead of the microcosm? Let's look up into the macrocosm of the stars and the planets and these kinds of things. There was a man named Kepler. I can't remember when he lived. I think it was 200 or 300 years ago. But I don't actually remember when he lived. But yeah, you can look it up. And he believed that the positioning of the orbits of our planets in our solar system were not at random, that from everything that he had studied, that they had to be directly connected to the 5 platonic solids. And he searched for it, he made all these models, and he went through a lot of his life trying to find this, and it wasn't accurate and it didn't work. The reason it didn't work is because his information was inaccurate. They didn't know where the planets were in orbits. And so he was working with inaccurate information. But there are people now, today, who have put this into computers, where they have taken all of sacred geometry that's known and all what NASA knows about where the planets are located relative to the sun. And they know the precise maximum, minimum, and mean orbit of each one of these different planets very precisely. And that was all thrown into the equation. And then a button was pushed to find out what the computer could find. And what it found proved conclusively that it's true. That all of the planets, their orbits, their relationships to each other, you can pick Mars to Earth or Mars to Jupiter, and those relationships are not only are all of them in relationship to the sun, but to each other they are in relationship. And even the sizes of them are not at random. Planets can only be at certain sizes. Sounds outrageous? Well, let's look at this next slide. Oh, not that next slide. I forgot about that one. And I forgot about that one. This one. Again, we have Leonardo's drawing. And first thing I want you to notice is that if you take this body that he's got drawing here with his arms out like that and his legs straight down, so you're like this, there's a perfect square that fits around your body. In other words, you are the height. Now, if you take an individual, that won't be true. There'll be variances. But science has taken large groups. You have to have a minimum of 100 people, and they've measured them really carefully. And they found that the height of the body and the width of the body, there's a difference of only 1/10,000th of an inch. You can barely see 1/10,000th of an inch. And that 1/10,000th of an inch isn't a mistake. It's related to the Fibonacci sequence, which is another subject. I can't tell you about that, but it is not a mistake. It's part of the equation. And so basically, you are the same height as you are with your arms out. And a cube passes, or a square or a cube passes around there, and the center of that square is precisely at the perineum, the body. Then, if you put your arms like this and your legs out like that, there's a circle that will pass perfectly around there, or a sphere. And it's this one here, which isn't drawn very well. It kind of disappears there. It comes right underneath the feet and goes on around. Comes up here. Comes on down around, comes back down under the feet. And the center of that one is exactly at the navel. And so you have this circle and this square relationship around the human body. Every biological form has different, it chooses different geometrical patterns to structure itself through. And so you have to figure out which one it is. But the human body is the square